back here. Another week of the Sabbath service, rocking it out in Exodus. We've made it to being thrust out of Egypt. And now we're going to start breaking down the Feast of the Unleavened Bread and the beginning of the journey out of Egypt. So we're going to start in Exodus chapter 12 and verse 47. Start in the Hebrew. Exodus chapter 12, verse 47. Call Adah Yasha'ala Ya'ishua Athwa Wakaya Yagwar Askagar Wa'aisha Pesach La Yahweh Hamawal Lawa Call Zakar Wa'az Yakurab La'ishafwa Wahaya Ha'azrach Ha'rataza Yakol Iral La'a Yakol Bawa Torah Achaf Yahaya La'azrach Walagar Hagar. Boss will come, verse 50. While Ya'ishua called Bunya Yasha'ala Ta'shar Tazwa Yahweh Asnashah wa Asaran Khan Ishua, verse 51. While Yahaya Ba'aitizam Hayawam Hazah Hawatazai Ya'a Yahweh Asbunya Yasha'ala Marataza Mafizarium I'll Tazba'asim, chapter 13, verse 1. Where the bar Yahweh al-Mashal Amar Kadash Laya Kal Akhwar Qatar Kal Raham Babunya Yasha'ala Badam Babahama Laya Hawa'a. Back to English. Chapter 12 and verse 47. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you, which that starts to go into what strange actually means. It's the contrast here is homeborn. So you're born in the land and with the culture, or you're not. And so the scripture says, one law shall be unto him that is homeborn and to the stranger. Verse 50, thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. Chapter 13 and verse 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both man and of beast. It is mine. And Moses said, and back to the Hebrew, chapter 13 and verse 3. Wayamar Masha al Ha'ayim Zakwar Ath Haywam Hazat Shah Yatazatham Wamatazarium Abayath Abadim Kaya Bachazak Yad Hawataziyah Yahweh Astum Mazah Wala'ah Yakal Kamatazah. Verse 4, Haywam Atham Yatazayam Bachadash Ha'abyab. Verse 5, Wahayakaya, Yabiaka, Yahweh, Alarataza, Akananya, Wahakathya, Wahamarya, Wahaya, Wahayabwasya, Ashar, Nashabai, Labathika, Lathathaka, Aratiza, Zabak, Alab, Adabash, Waibadah, Athibad, Haibadah, Hazaath, Bakadash, Hazah, verse 6. Shabai, Yum Yum, Bakal, Mafazah, Wabayawum, Hashabiah, Kag, Layahawa, verse 7. Matazwath, Yakal, Ath, Shabai, Hayum Yum, Wala'ah, Yawa'ah, Yakah, Kamatza, Wala'ah, Yarah, Lakah, Sha'ar, Bakal, Gabalka, verse 8. Wahagadah, Labanka, Layawam, Hawa'ah, Lamar, Laibwar, Zah, Aisha, Yahweh, Layah, Latazafia, Mamatazarium, verse 9. Wahayalaka, Lawaf, Aliyadka, Zakar Bayan, Ayadka, Lamayan, Daya, the Warath, Yahweh, Rabnika, Kaya, Bayad, Kazakwa, Hawatazaka, Yahweh, Mamatazarium, and back to the Hebrew. Back to the English. In verse 3. And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which he came out from Egypt out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. And so everything that we do when we observe the Passover, we do to remember that it's the Lord's strength that brought us out of Egypt, nothing else. Not our own strength, not the mercy of the kind Egyptians. It's the Lord's strength that delivered us out of Egypt. And one of these reminders is the unleavened bread, because we were in such a rush that we just had to grab the dough, put it just to have something to eat without giving it the time to rise. And so that's why we eat the unleavened bread, because the Lord said that after that last plague, after hardening the heart of Pharaoh all this time, after that last plague, we were going to be rushed out of Egypt. We were going to have time to do anything, get anything together. And so we grabbed this bread without even giving it time to rise.
What is the scriptures that you just read? What book, chapter, and verse on that?
We're in Exodus chapter 13 and verse 3.
All right, so I want the brothers and sisters to make a note, because the Jewish man read that scripture again, Baba Kishore.
And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which he came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten.
So say that again.
There shall no leavened bread be eaten.
No leavened bread shall be eaten. Read that was the end. That was the end. So to let you know that that mean that you got to get all the leaven out your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? No leavened bread, because we're going to be in a hurry. But I just learned about what the Jewish man how he take this scripture.
Oh yeah.
You didn't realize how they do it. So now you already know that you're not and he gonna go in the priest gonna go in deep into it. But with the Lord said you're not allowed to have leaven in your house at all. No type of leaven in your house that you own. Get it out your house.
Right.
Which means like where you lay your head at. You know what I mean? The place where you lay your head at. Make sure the leaven is out your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? We teach that, you don't put the leaven in your car, because you're not living in your car. You know what I'm saying? Lord willing, you know, put it in your garage, put it someplace, or just get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, just get rid of it. The Jewish man, what he do? This is how he get rid of it. He would sell it to somebody.
Yeah, they sell it to each other.
But it's not selling really. Because they were like, oh, well, that, you know what I mean? He's not a Jewish man. So, you know what I mean? So this person is not being a Jewish man. I could sell it to him because I don't own no leaven. He own my leaven now.
And that's the funny part.
He
They sell it, but they don't get rid of it. They just sell it. So in theory, it's not theirs. They leave it right in their cupboard. They leave it right where it's at. But technically, it's not theirs because they sold it.
Because they sold it. And guess who they sold it to? They say, I'm going to sell it to this African-American man.
Yeah.
On paper, look, it's on the paper.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the leaven is right next
Right
to
there.
the place where he laid his
Right
head.
there.
This is how to let you know that they ain't God's chosen people. They were
No.
looking for a loophole. And what did our oppressor always do? What Donald Trump is do? He looked for loopholes.
Yeah, and they always
In the
their
law.
whole take on the scriptures is to find loopholes so that they can do whatever they want while technically claiming that they keeping the law. Everything they do is with loopholes. The whole Sabbath, the Sabbath elevator, hiring one of your family members to turn their lights on and off on the Sabbath, so that they don't. Everything they do is with loopholes, so that they can break the law, but claim that they're technically keeping it.
But you know, and then when you dropping so heavy, like they would tell somebody else to like they would come in and say, "Oh, turn off the light in my house," but that's commerce because they got to pay that person to turn off the light. So they running their business on the Sabbath. They conducting business on the Sabbath at the same time.
I'm making somebody work on the Sabbath.
Yeah, and that means they conducting business on the Sabbath. I pay you to come on the Sabbath. You know, I pay you to turn off the light to come in on the Sabbath. They conduct the business, literally.
And it's so heavy because it's flipped on its head. That the Sabbath is for the employer. That the law about not working is for the person who has the power to dictate who works and who doesn't. And so they're in their mind, they're sitting down, not moving a finger, but they're making somebody work.
They the people who have the what? The power.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's what it is. They also have the power to have somebody not work on that day.
Exactly. And so spiritually, it's completely backwards the way the so-called Jewish man claims to keep the laws of the Most High. It's spiritually completely out of whack, and it shows you that they're not the people. It shows you that they're not, that this is not for them. This is not their culture. All the ways you see them move, it's the complete opposite of the spirit of what our laws were created for.
You know? And that's the loophole I just wanted to break down about the leaven. I learned that. I'm like, yo, you can't be serious. I never knew it, but it is serious because that's how they think.
Yeah.
That's how they think. Wow.
Verse 4, this day came ye out in the month of Abib, and it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the seventh day shall be a feast to the Lord. So this is a commandment, not only to get all of the leaven out of your house, but to actively eat unleavened bread each day. We are to eat bread that is made without leavening, that is not risen, to remember our people being thrust out of Egypt by the power and the strength of the Most High. So much so that whereas they wouldn't even let us go a few miles into the desert for a couple of days right before that, now because of the power of the Lord with sending these plagues, they couldn't get us out fast enough. Verse 7, unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. It doesn't say you can have it there on a technicality. It says it shall not be seen in your quarters. That seems plain and simple to me. Verse 8, and thou shalt show thy son in that day. saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And so this is the point of this, is to pass this on. Is to pass on the history of our people, is to pass on the way that the Lord has always loved us and delivered us from every captivity. We went over this, yes, the last 2 days for the Purim, where the Lord saved us from another enemy that wanted to wipe us out, that hated us. The Lord has always shown love for his people, no matter how off we've been. He's always delivered us in the end. And that's a heavy, heavy thing to remember every year, to pass on and to tell your children about as they grow up in this hell, as they grow up surrounded by every terrible, wicked, crazy, insane thing that you could possibly see. It's a hard thing to raise a kid in this hell in this day and age. How can you possibly keep them from being exposed to all the deviance out there? How can you possibly keep them from being exposed to the degeneracy? But what you can do is pass on this culture, pass on these lessons, and show them why we observe these high holy days, why we observe the Passover, what the meaning is behind it, what the meaning is behind all the laws that we keep, the importance behind it. Verse 9, and it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Back to the Hebrew, verse 10. Washamarta ath hachakwa hazat amawaid mayamayim yamayama. Verse 11. Yahayakaya Yaba'aka Yahweh al-Ratazah Yakananya Kashar Shabai Laka Wala Abasika. Verse 12. Wahai Barath Kal Patar Rakam La Yahweh Wakal Patar Shagar Bahama Ashar Yahaya Laka Azakaryam La Yahweh. Verse 13, Wakal Patar Hamar, Laka Hamar, Tafadah Basha, Wa'am La'ah, Tafadah, Wairapaswa, Wakal, Wakawar Adam, Wabunyaka, Tafadah. Verse 14, Wahayakaya, Yasha'alka, Bunka Makar, Lamar, Maza'af, Wamraf, Aliwa, Bakazak, Yad, Hawataza'at, Taza'anwa, Yahweh Mamatazarium, Mabayat Ibadium. Verse 15, Wayahaya, Kaya, Akashah, Paraya, Yashalachnoah, Wayaharag, Yahweh, Kal, Bakawar, Varatazah, Makazarium, Mabakar, Adam, Wa'ai, Bakawar, Bahama, Al Khan, Anya Zabak, Yahweh, Kal, Patar, Raham, Hazakarium, Wakal Bakawar, Bunya Akadah. Verse 16. Wahaya Lawat Al Yadka Walatowat Pah Bayan Ayanka Kaya Bakhazak Yad Hawataza'anwa Yahweh Mamakazarium. And back to the English from verse 10. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. We're in Exodus 13 and 11. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, as he sware unto thee and to thy fathers, and shall give it thee. that thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the males shall be the Lord. And every firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem of the land, and if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break his neck. And all the firstborn of man among thy children shalt thou redeem. And it shall be, when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, what is this? That thou shalt say unto him, by strength of hand, the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it's multiple times that you see over and over, it's said, it talks about how to tell your children, how to tell your son about this, because it's so important and it's so heavy to pass this on. It's so important to help to make your children understand the meaning behind everything that we do. That's how you raise strong children in this truth. That's how you build a strong family, by passing on the meaning, by making them understand. You see all the time the way that these Christians do in America. They just berate their kids and tell them you can't do anything and shame them and everything else. And then what happens when they grow up? They end up being the craziest whores and homosexuals and freaks, and they do everything but what their parents was trying to teach them to do, because they don't have the spirit of how to teach what they, because of course it's wrong in the first place if they're teaching them Christianity. But when you have an actual culture around what you're doing, and you have these laws straight from the Most High, then we have the ability to teach our children the importance, the meaning of what we're doing. Don't just tell them, no bread this week. Here, eat this. You tell them why. You make them feel why. You make them remember that as they go out into the world, that they have a responsibility to not be like what they see out there. Verse 15. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a token upon thine hand, and for frontlets between thine eyes. For by strength of hand the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. And now back to the Hebrew, and that's heavy, because we always, the key behind all of this, just like we went into the last 2 days with Purim, we didn't come out of that situation out of our own strength, out of the mercy of the Persians and the Medes, out of the kindness of our enemies, out of anything other than the Lord. It's the Lord. And some of these situations, the scholars try their hardest to discredit the book of Esther. No matter what the archaeology says, no matter what else says, they try their hardest to discredit it, because it's too neat and perfect for it. It must be a fairy tale. But all of these things were ordered so that the Lord could let it be shown that it was his power and not nothing else. Not coincidence, not people's strength, not anything else, but the Lord's power. Back to the Hebrew, verse 17. Exodus chapter 13 and verse 17. Wayahaya bashalach par'aya af'a'im wala'ah nakum alahayim durak arataza l'shafyim kaya forwab hawa'ah kaya amar alahayim pun yanacham ha'ayim baratham malachma Washabwa Matazarima, verse 18. Wayasab Alahayim Atayim Darak Hamadabar Yom Sawak Wakamashim Alwa Bunya Sha'ala Marataza Matazarima, verse 19. Wayakwak Masha Af Aitazamawat Yalsak Aimwa Kaya Hashabai, Hashabai, Athbunyash al-Amar, the Quad, Yapaquad, Al-Hayim, Afkum, Waha'alithum, Ath, Itazamathia, Mazah, Afkum, verse 20, Wayasaiwa, Masakah, Wayaknoa, Bathum, Wakwatazah, Hamadabar, verse 21, Wayahawa Halak, Apunyam, Yawamum, the Ainwad, Anan, Wanakathum, Hadarak, Walayala, the Ainwad, Ash, Bahayar, Rahum, Walakath, Yawamum, Walayala, verse 22, La'ah, Yom Yash, Imawad, Ha'ainan, Yomum, Wa'imawad, Ha'ash, Layala, Lapunya, Ha'aim, chapter 14 and verse 1. Wa'yadabar, Yahweh al-Mashal, Wa'amar. I'm going to go back to the English from verse 17. And it came to pass when Pharaoh had let the people go, that God led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest peradventure the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt. Because the Philistines, it was on sight with the Philistines. And so the Lord said, I'm not going to put them in the mix of that right away, because they're going to want to run right back to the comfort of Egypt. And that goes back to something that's going to keep being a theme in here, is that the people were in slavery in Egypt, but they were comfortable. And that's where our people is at today, in slavery. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Quick shout out to everybody in the chat. Our people are in slavery today in this hell, but we're comfortable here. The most of the conversations that you hear blacks and Hispanics having about how to deal with our issues in America involve the political process, involve, you gotta go little by little, and it's gonna take time. They're just looking for an elevated level of comfort, but you're still at the bottom. You're still underneath an oppressor that controls everything. You're still in a foreign heathen culture. They still hate you, but you're just looking for a little bit of an elevated level of comfort. And that's a terrible, terrible, poisonous mindset to have, because it means that you're being driven by fear. You're being driven by the fear of the unknown. You're more comfortable being a slave than stepping out and having to maybe go through something worse before it gets better. And that's where they was at right here, sir.
Barushad, let Chupa Tawayala know where you exactly at.
So we're in Exodus 13 and 17.
Wow.
And now verse 18. But God led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up and harnessed out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and he shall carry up my bones away hence with you. And they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham in the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. And this is yet another one of these amazing supernatural signs that was right in front of the people, where they knew that this is the hand of the Most High that was guiding them out. and they were still going to end up being scared. Chapter 14, verse 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, and back to the Hebrew, Exodus 14 and 2, the bar bunya yasha'ala, wa yashabwa, wa yakhanwa, wa punya, paya, hakayarach, bayan magadal, wa bayan, payam, wa punya ba'al, hazapun, nakafwa, the khanwa, al hayam, wa amar, par'aya, la punya yasha'ala, Yum, Humbarataza, Sagar, Alihum, Hamadabar, verse 4. Wakazakia, Ak, Lab Par'aya, Ordat, Akaryam, Wakabda, Par'aya, Wabakal, Ayalwa, Wayadawa, Mapzarium, Kaya, Anya Yahawa, Wayashua Khan, verse 5. Wayagad, Lamalak, Mapzarium, Kaya, Barak, Ha'an, Wayapak, Labab, Par'aya, Waibadua, Al Ha'an, Wayamarwa, Maza'ah, Aishianwa, Kaya, Shalaknawa, Asyasha'ala, Ma'ibadnawa, verse 6, Wayasar, Wakabwa, Wa'asimwa, Wa'aimwa, verse 7, Wa'wak, Shasha, Mawak, Yakab, Bakawar, Wakal Rakab, Matazarium, Washalashim, Al Kalwa, verse. Back to the English. From verse 2, Exodus 14 to 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pi Ha'irath, between Migdal and the sea, over against Baal Zephon. Before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. So the Most High is sitting back, mapping this all out, just to show his power. That's why all these plagues, he kept Pharaoh's heart hardened. No matter how stupid it seemed to everybody else, that he would keep pushing it while all of his kingdom is getting destroyed. The Lord kept his heart hardened so that it would be known that it was the power of the Most High that brought us out of Egypt. And that's what's going on right here. The Lord's saying, look, he's going to make Pharaoh say, we kicked them out, but now they're going to be caught up in the wilderness. They're going to be having problems, struggling out there. I'm just going to go get them back. Verse 5, and it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people. And they said, why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with an high hand. And back to the Hebrew, from Exodus 14 and 9. Or Salakia, 14 and 8. Vayachazak Yahweh Athlab Paraya, Malak Matazarium, Vayardak Akarya Banya Sha'ala, or Banya Sha'ala. I didn't read this in the Hebrew. Which is Ayam, Bayad, Ramah, verse 9. Vayardapwa, Matazarium, Akaryam, Shiagwa, Al Thumb, Tunium, Al Hayum, Kal Sawas, Wakab Paraya, Parashua, Wakayalwa, Al Kaya, Hakaria, Lapunya by all, Kazak, Kazakun, verse 10, Wakariah, Akoryab, Vayashawa, Bunya Sha'ala, Ath Ayanyam, Wana Matazarium, Masai, Akarium, Vayaroawa, Ma'ad, Vayatzaikwa, Bunya Sha'ala, Al Yahawa, verse 11, Vayamarwa, Al Masha, Kamabalia, Ayun, Babarium, Bamatazarium, Bakwak, Bakstafnua, Bamawas, Bamadabar, Maza'af, Aishiyaf, Manawa, Lawatazak, Ya'anwa, Mamatazarium, verse 12, Hala'adza, Hadabar, Ashar, the Barnawa, Al Yakub Matazarium, Lamar, Hadal, Mamunwa, Wanabada, Matazarium, Kaya, Tawab, Manawa, Ibad, Matazarium, Mafnua, Babadabar. Verse 13, Wayamar, Masha, Al Ha'ain, Al Yarwa, Yad Zabwa, Rawa Asa, Yashwai, Yahawa Ashar, Yaisha, Yakum, Hayawum, Kaya Ashar, Rayathum, Ahmad Zarium, Hayawum La'a, Rasiyapwa, Larathum, Iwad, Id Awalum. Yahweh, Yahweh, Wathum, Yaswan, verse 15, Wayamar, Yahweh al Masha, Mas, Ratazai, Alia, Dabar, Al Bunya Sha'ala, Wayasaiwa, verse 16, Wasta Harum, As Matka, Wanata, As Yadka, Al Hayum, Wabakwawa, Wayabawa, Bunya Sha'ala, Bathwak, Hayum, Bayabasha, and back to the English. Verse 9, but the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, besides Paharath before Baal-Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord, and they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? And so now again, they're immediately getting scared and regretting coming out of Egypt because of the fear of seeing Pharaoh's armies coming after them. Verse 12, is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And that's being driven by fear. That's our people today. You'd rather be a slave than to leave and to have to fight and to have to go through some hell to leave and be a free people. Verse 13, and Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever.
Salaki, no, Salaki, please. You gotta go that to the next verse up, what you just read about the reason why they was complaining, and read it down to what Moses said to them. Because you know what I'm saying, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we learn helplessness.
Right.
We apologize to Donald Trump because he hurt his fist on our face. That's where it got to that point. We are a homeborn slave. You know what I mean? We don't know what freedom is because we never experienced. You know what I mean? We experience our freedom through another nation of people.
Yeah.
That's the reason why, that's the reason why, you know what I'm saying? If somebody say, let's, you know what I'm saying, let's do what we have to do. Let's separate spiritually away from these people. What you know what I'm saying? And they would go up against us. It's like the house Negro and the field Negro. Yeah. It's the same concept even back then. Yeah. And this is what Moses is going through, to let them know, he had to remind them who they are, because our people have been destroyed. You know what we say right here in America? The white man got this. Daddy got this. You know what I mean? I don't got to think about no war. Long as I can sell drugs to my people, the white man going to take care of me. That's our country. A slave is saying, this is our country. A slave. You know what I mean? So that's what Moses is going through, because we learn helplessness. We apologize to America because they hurt their heel on our backs. And that's how we're going. You know what I'm saying? That's trauma. That's trauma. That's heavy. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on right now. And Moses is a counselor. Try to counsel his people. Say, hey, don't think that. Yeah. Don't think that way. Yeah. But,
that's the same battle we having today. What are we having with our people on the streets today? Trying to talk you out of being a comfortable slave. Every time we go out onto these streets, we got to battle our people to not just be a comfortable slave. And that's a shame. But that's what's happening right here. That's why all these high holy days and all these stories are so heavy, because all the parallels to today are so stark and so clear.
I have to say, that's the reason. And what you say, the whole holidays, we just finished come to Feast of Purim, to remind the brothers and sisters how you know what I'm saying, a brother that raised up a sister, and she, you know what I mean, and she took care of her people. Yeah. This what happened. What moral compass, you know what I mean, that America holidays have towards the so-called Puerto Ricans? None. The so-called African Americans, the so-called Mexicans. None. For Trump, Hispanic for Trump. Right. What holidays that America will have a moral compass to let you know this is specifically for you? Right. You know what I mean? This is for your people. This is for your kind. But if you celebrate Thanksgiving, that's for somebody else's kind. If you celebrate the 4th of July, that's for somebody else's kind. You know what I mean? If you celebrate your birthday, that's for somebody else's kind. There's no moral compass if somebody celebrate their own birthday. Think about what morality come out of celebrating your birthday. What morality? Not a goddamn thing. Selfishness. Same thing with America. But if you know what I mean, if you was here in the Isupk, and we just finished celebrating 2 days of Purim, a feast day, to show, you know what I mean, to you know what I'm saying, to big up our sister that took care, that wasn't selfish. Right. When she was high up on her, she was you know what I mean, she was high volume. She was high volume. She's in the King Palace. That's what she was at. She was Beyonce, Angela Bassett. You see what I'm getting? Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? A celebrity. Yeah. Had all the monies, got all the monies. And she went slumming to make sure her people was okay. That's what she did. She thought about her people first. She realized, yes, I'm married to this heathen bastard. Right. I'm going to make sure that my people was okay. Not only okay, they're going to be you know what I mean? They're going not only okay, they're going to be good.
And that's the importance of these high holy days and these feast days, is to learn to love our people, learn to stand up. Learn to stand up. Stop being you real tough with your own people on the corner, and then you real soft when it comes to the white man in this hell. That's as weak as it gets. I mean, you got to learn to stand up for your people and stand up against your oppressors. Stand up for the one with the real power. Verse 14, the Lord shall fight for you and ye shall hold your peace.
Say that
That's
again.
what Moses told him. The Lord shall fight for you.
Say that again.
The Lord shall fight for you.
The Most High God going to fight for us. The Most High God, yo, hey, I know you shivering in your goddamn boots. You know what I mean? I know, you know what I mean? Your stomach is growling. I know you smell that pork, you know what I'm saying, in Egypt. I know you smell that pork. It smells so delicious. It smells delicious. Huh? It smells so delicious. But when you was over there, why you was getting your back kicked in?
Yeah.
Why you was getting your teeth kicked in? You know what I mean? Right, this was going right there. Why you was watching, you know what I'm saying? You was watching your brothers and sisters getting whipped. And you have to stand, you know what I mean? And you have to stand in the corner, not do nothing but watch it with your goddamn cell phone out. Frightening. Hey, the Most High going to fight for you.
Right.
If he heard you, right? You were just crying 2 days ago for the Most High to deliver you from this madness. 2 days ago, you was crying. The Most High got you out of this madness. Now you want to go back to the madness, huh? You forgot about what the Most High did. You forgot about all that unaliving what the Most High did towards the Egyptians. You forgot all about that, huh?
There's beautiful violence in this book. There's so much beautiful violence in this book that the Lord inflicts on our enemies. This book tells you what happens if we follow the Lord, what happens to anybody that comes up against us. Are you still scared to do it? You're scared because your Christian church got you soft. Got you shying away from all this violence. Got you thinking that you should forgive everybody, even as they're coming at you right now. No, that's crazy. So here we are trying to get out of Egypt. Verse 15, and the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod and stretch out thine hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea.
Then again, I still got to show you a goddamn miracle. I got to show you how many miracles I showed you. All
of these miracles.
You see this, and you eyewitness to my power. Literally an eyewitness. But 3 days ago, wait, let me just say it. 2 days ago, you was crying for me.
Yeah.
You was crying for me. You pushed me to say, don't you remember the covenant?
Yep.
Don't you remember the Most High? Don't you remember the covenant? Why are we, you know what I'm saying? Why are we destroyed? Can you please come here and destroy my enemy? Crazy. And he's listened, and he finally listened. He finally listened. You know what I mean? He even told Moses. Moses thought he was good. Yep. Remember, Moses had 2 wives. Killing. He's on the run. Ain't nobody looking for him.
He wasn't thinking about Egypt.
He wasn't thinking about Egypt. He's like, yo, I made out. I got, you know what I mean? I'm going to tend to these sheep. I'm going to be a common man. I got my ribs.
He was older.
And he was older. You know what I mean? So, but he had to go back for his own kind. He got comfortable. That's what happened. Moses got comfortable. The Most High God said, no, you ain't going to be comfortable, man. You got to go.
Get uncomfortable.
It's time to get on. It's time to be comfortable in your uncomfortability. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's heavy.
And that's exactly. And guess what? He stood up. He stood up and went back for his people. Yep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Ruth, she stood up and went back to her people. And that's what we talking about. That's what we talking about. That's why, you know what I'm saying? That's why blacks, Hispanics, and Americans, that's the reason why we such Israelites. Because if we went to in Ezekiel, I think it's chapter 1. If he ever went to you know what I'm saying, a strange nation, they would have hearkened to his words. But the children of Israel is hard-headed, and he still went to the children of Israel in spite of that we hard-headed. It's a lot.
No, most times right. Back to the Hebrew. Exodus 14 and 17. Anya Hananya Machazak Aflab Matazarium Wayabaawa Akaryaham Wakabada Paraya Wabakal Hayalwa Barakabwa Wabaparashua, verse 18, Wayadiwa, Matizarian, Kaya, Anya Hawa, Bahakabadia, Paraya, Parakabwa, Wabaparashim, Salaka Wabaparashua, verse 19, Wayasai, Malak, Halahayim, Halak, Lapunya, Makana, Yasha'ala, Wayalak, Macharyahum, Wayasai, Imawad, Ha'ainan, Lapunyahum, Wayaimad, Macharyahum, verse 20, Wayaba'a, Bayan, Machana, Machazarium, Wabayan, Machana, Yasha'ala, Wayahaya, Ha'ainan, Wakashat, Waya'ar, Alayla, Wala'a, Kurab, Za, Al-Za, Kal, Halayla, verse 21, Wayat, Masha, Yadwa, Al-Hayyam, Wayawalat, Yahweh, Al-Hayyam, Wawak, Padayam, Isaiah, Kal, Halayla, Wayasham, Al-Hayyam, Lacharabah, Wayabakwaiwa, Hamayam, verse 22, Wayaba'awa, Ben Yasha'ala, Bakwak, Hayam, Wayabashah, Wahamayam, Laham, Hama, Mayamayan, Wa, Mashama'al, back to English, verse 17. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. So this is real. This is the Lord put this pillar of cloud behind the camp now, and in front of the Egyptians, it blinded them. But to the Israelites in front of them, it gave them light. And when they got to the sea, Moses stretched his hand out. The Lord divided the Red Sea. This is real life. This happened. Whatever Christians, again, Christians hate the Bible. Christians are ashamed of the Bible. They try to explain away every miracle and everything in it. I hear them try to say it was the Reed Sea instead of the Red Sea, so there was just like a swamp, and the wind just blew the swamp so they could walk through. All types of stupidity. This was a miracle. This happened for it to be a miracle. Verse 22, and the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. That's not a swamp that dried up a little bit. The waters were a wall. They were in the middle of a sea, split up, and the waters was like a wall on both sides. We're going to pick it back up here next week. Imagine up here. Paul James Horn. Demonstration 1. Yash'ala, which means to Israel. Oh. Imagine the room, or putting out the dome. We stand and turn to face east. Blocking for missing your questions, brother. We'll get to those next week. Lord's Prayer in Hebrew, Abinawa, Shabbat Shemayim,
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shaya,
Shaya.
Shamka, Hawa,
Yahweh.
Malakika,
Malakika.
Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Isha, Baratza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim,
Bashemayim.
Thundernow,
Thundernow.
Nakam,
Kayawam.
Salafano,
Salakno.
Kalawatno,
Salakno.
Salafno, Kalawatno,
Kalawatno.
Taba'ah, Rabiyano,
Naino.
One,
By Saiwan.
Ball,
Bar.
Shino,
I shy now.
Young,
My young.
Rod,
Right.
Hayah,
Yeah.
Malakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'afarat, Wa'alumnu,
Young.
Amun, the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done
That will be done.
in earth
In earth.
as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Pray for the power structure in the Hebrew. Barak Yahweh. Wa Yahweh Shai. Wa Mayaka Allah. Wa Allah Hayim. Matazabi Allah Wapihana. Allah Wapim. Hasranyam. Hakwazianyam. Hakwayalim. Hakwapim. Yahweh Bashimi Al Shai. The water Amun. In English. Bless you, Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai. And Mike. And the angels. The many general Yohanan. The generals. The captain. The officers. The troops. And the sisters. Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. Prayer for the prophesied curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Listen to us now. Right now. Send evils and curses. And punishment and destruction. To the heathen that speak against us. God's prophets, the teachers, the preachers, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the schools. Send evils and curses. And punishment and destruction. To the heathen that shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel. They refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations, and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Bosco-Matazi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spy, British witchcraft, NASA space program, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airwaves, the cable access channel, and the radio channel. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us from swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way and try to stop us from broadcasting your word throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume it. Let the plagues shake the house of the thief and the murder. Let your house shine, Michael and Gabriel, from down to flying saucers, and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak our word. Cause it to be known by all. And it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media, throughout the whole world. Cause it to shake it like thunder. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you always. So be it. So I face the front. Pick up next week in Exodus chapter 14 and verse 23. Give one courtesy salute, men of Israel, and Mother Shabbat, and Mother Barak. Yahweh Shai Shai. That's the top. That concludes the Sabbath service.
Once again, we're gonna next week it's gonna be Exodus chapter 14, verse 23. Shalom.